Let's move over to the Middle East. What do you make of this historic peace deal? Obviously, Trump went there. He spoke at the Knesset. He met with the leaders of Qatar and all the people over there. What do you make of the entire thing?
It's another theatrical moment for Donald Trump. Within the last 24 hours, the Israelis killed, I think, 101, 102 Palestinians in Gaza, sudden airstrikes, supposedly in retribution for some alleged ceasefire violation, or because the Palestinians have not given them the remains of Israelis that have died. Of course, finding anybody in that rubble is going to be enormously difficult from now. I've seen sources that say the Israelis have killed 68,000 people in Gaza. I've seen other sources that say 400,000. We have no idea because the place has been reduced to ruins and rubble. Now the Israelis have increased their control from, I think, 53% of Gaza to 58% of Gaza. President Trump is in the White House because of wealthy Jewish oligarchs in the United States who paid for his victory. And they expect him to deliver on the promises he made to them. And those promises are very clear: Gaza, and ultimately the West Bank, and the Greater Israel Project. So I see no evidence that anything they do will be taken as a contradiction by Trump. He'll argue, well, if these Palestinians won't get along, then we'll just have to go in and kill them all. He said that just a couple of weeks ago. Incredible. What interest do we as Americans have in killing Palestinians? Now, sure, you can find people here in the United States, many of whom served in the military, spent time in the Middle East, that may not like Muslims. I've run into that. That's a different issue. But unfortunately, most Americans are just not terribly engaged. It's something that happens far from home. In other words, war is always something that happens on someone else's territory, not ours. They're worried about food on the table, health care, transportation, a standard of living that provides for their families. That's where they are. They're not focused on what we're doing overseas. Not yet.
Were you surprised that so many governments came together to sign that treaty, from Egypt to Indonesia to the Saudis and the Qataris and the Emirates? Were you surprised that all of that happened?
No. All of the ruling elites in the Middle East are for sale. Everybody knows that. Their populations know it. Just because they showed up doesn't mean that there's great love for us or Israel at the moment, anywhere in the region. You also have people like Sisi. Sisi is desperately dependent upon billions of dollars from the United States to hold things together in Egypt. I mean, why else would he let the Egyptian army sit idle while the Israelis murder Palestinians? It's not just because, well, we don't like Hamas. A lot of people don't like Islamist radicals in the Middle East. That's not new. But he doesn't want to risk a confrontation with us. Nobody in the region does. Nobody wants to go to war with us. But we've made it abundantly clear that if you don't cooperate with what we want, and that specifically means with Israel's project, then you're going to be our enemy. And if you're our enemy, it's going to get tough. Now, at the same time, let's not kid ourselves. Back to the gold issue.
What the London Real Investment Club actually does for you, it gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals. And that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week. And for me, that was huge, because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best and hope you come join us.
The Chinese have opened gold vaults. One is in Hong Kong and one is in Riyadh. And this is literally a warehouse where hard gold will be stored. And the idea is that ultimately gold replaces the petrodollar. That when you make purchases in energy and other things, they're going to do business with you in yuan. Right now, Saudi Arabia does all its business with China in yuan. And China is probably the top partner for purchase of oil and gas. That's very important. We're moving into a different world now where you're going to end up with a divergence between the United States and Europe and the rest of the world. Simply because BRICS is growing and building a parallel financial system,
Right.
along with parallel institutions. Now, we all said just 5, 10 years ago, sitting here in the United States, because I sat around and listened to people in the government say it, well, this is true, but they'll never get there very fast. We'll be king of everything for at least 2 more decades, maybe more. They can't threaten the dollar, blah, blah, blah. Everyone is now saying, wow, look how far they have come. Now, the Chinese will tell you flat out, our banking system is not nearly as sophisticated as yours. So it's going to take a lot longer to get there. And they admit that. But it's clear they're working on it, and they're doing very well. They have the equivalent of the SWIFT system that is actually easier to use and easier to exploit for cross-border purchases and transfers than our own SWIFT system. So we're moving into this new world, and gold is at the center of it for the rest of the world. I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, some people talk about Bitcoin or something else. I have no idea. But I do know that for the rest of the world, they're moving increasingly in this direction of gold. So we have to take that into consideration. This is not a I have a bigger army than you do. This is not I have a bigger Air Force than you do. And this is the final point. We don't seem to understand that economic prosperity and strength are the foundation for military power. And we're losing on the economic prosperity and production and strength side of the equation right now. We don't understand that that's what made us so powerful during and after World War II. Our greatest period of expansion as a scientific industrial power came between 1920 and 1970. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because we had almost no immigration. We shut it down. We had something called the Exceptional Skills Act. That was designed to bring people in who were exceptional, who could immediately assimilate and make important contributions. By the way, that's how Einstein came into the United States. But otherwise, we shut it down. We assimilated the people that were there, and all of the inventions that had been devised in the previous century and the first part of the 20th century were assimilated. So suddenly electricity, central heating, I mean, we go down the list. It's endless. Nylon, take your pick. We went from a world where most people grew up on a farm with an outhouse to a world where we had central heating, indoor plumbing. Our whole standard of living skyrocketed. And the building of the manufacturing process that just expanded overnight during World War II was then rapidly transformed into commercial use. We deliberately did that because we didn't want, as Eisenhower put it, the large military industrial complex. That's why he warned against it. And he was instrumental in keeping military spending down and working to find ways to get along at the time with the Soviet Union. Now, today, nobody mentions that anymore. But Eisenhower understood what war really meant. It meant that it disrupted your entire society and your economy. And though we were able to benefit from it, fortunately, he knew that would not necessarily be the truth in the future. And that at some point, we could become a target if we were stupid. And we've been very stupid since 1965. And I think right now, we're in a very dangerous place. Most Americans don't get it. They don't understand it. But we are.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.